all the help around him. But as we know, when you have a competitive paid quarterback in the NFL, then you're not going to be able to get the most skill around him. You're going to have to pick your spots, and you're going to be a little slower one year than the next year. Not slow in terms of speed, just at what you're doing. You can't pay that position. Forget Dak a minute. You can't pay that position at that level and take that much of the available dollars and then put the exact thing around him. When Dak first got here, we had one of the best offensive lines that, in my mind, that had been put on the field in a long time. And he had that. And so we had skill around him, especially offensively. Well, when you do what you do today and you invest in a quarterback the way you do with these premium quarterbacks, that is diminished. That's automatically has to be diminished. And so when you ask me the supporting cast around him, it'll be hard to get to a supporting cast the way he did when he started his career.
Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn ready because we got ourselves a good one in this video. We're going to talk about Jerry Jones throwing his quarterback under the bus because of how much money he's making and why what he said made no sense whatsoever. Let's dive straight into it. Now, before we begin this video, if you guys could do me a favor and hit the like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you're new. And hit the notification bell as well. Over 87% of you guys watching aren't subscribed. So if you keep coming back for more Cowboys content, just hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when new content comes out. Now, I've seen people react to what I've been putting out on Twitter, all the information in regards to what Jerry Jones is saying and basically refuting what he's saying. You know, shout out to Mark Holmes. He did a video on what I put out. I saw people reference what I said on Twitter. It has everything to do with what Jerry Jones said about Dak Prescott. I showed you the clip at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to explain why I'm taking issue to what he has to say. And one of the biggest pet peeves that I have is that there are people in the fan base that will soak up what Jerry's saying without any form of research or making decisions for themselves about, okay, this is what the Cowboys did, and I think that they did this good of a job or X, Y, and Z. If you've been following me for quite some time, you know I'm not a fan of the front office. I like the players. The front office is making this such a grotesque situation because we go through the same song and dance. Player comes up for a contract. They play hardball. They tag them. They play hardball. It's really when the player has to stand their ground when they finally go, okay, we'll give you the money. But what we're here to talk about is Jerry saying that we can't build the team through free agency or give Dak a supporting cast because of his contract, and we could do it earlier in his tenure as a Cowboy, but we can't do it now. Even though Dak Prescott in his first 3 seasons, if you want to count all 4, because, if we're talking about the 2016 season, of course, the team wasn't built for him. You had a situation where you had paid a guy less than $2 million for 4 straight years. If we're just counting 2017 onward when you started putting the franchise in Dak's hands, you had a cap hit that for 2 years was less than $1 million, not even $800,000. Then in 2019, it was around $2 million, and then after that, you franchise tagged him for a cap hit of $34 million. Even with that franchise tag, you could have, extended him and, had a lower cap hit long term. And on top of that, you would have less cap hit on that year and you could have done more. So I put a little snippet on Twitter. Mark Holmes has covered it. Other people have talked about it. I gave the Cliff Notes version of just the wide receivers and the offensive weaponry. I'm not even talking about the defense. Today, we're going through each offseason, the free agency period, and some notable guys they drafted, because we need to have a full holistic conversation of did the Cowboys do things to help Dak Prescott in the offseason, and then what did they ultimately do which led them down the path that they did. So let's talk about the 2017 season, okay? So looking at the 2017 season, as I have it right here in front of me, You signed Terrence Williams, Nolan Carroll, Byron Bell, Stephen Paya, Demontre Moore, Darren McFadden, Jonathan Cooper, Justin Durant, and Kellen Moore. The biggest of those signings in terms of the outside free agents were Nolan Carroll, which, by the way, I don't even think he played for the team that year. If I double-checked really quickly, yeah, he didn't even make it to the regular season, and if he did, he wasn't starting. And you gave 3 years, $10 million to that guy. And then on top of that, you brought back Terrence Williams. Hey, you know what? Let's run it back with the same guys, not try to change anything. And who did you see leave? On offense, you saw notable names like Ronald Leary left. Of course, Romo's gone. Doug Free retired, so you lost 2 offensive linemen there. Then on top of that, you let a bunch of these defensive players go. Nothing too outer-worldly there, and I have it on screen for you. In the draft, you add guys like Ryan Switzer and Noah Brown to your team on offense. Defensively speaking, you had Cheeto and Jordan Lewis. That was the Taco Charlton draft. Whatever. It's kind of like you look at that, and you had $9 million to play with, and you could have definitely signed someone else out there, but you didn't. Okay, so let's go to 2018. In the 2018 offseason, right, now in that particular offseason, you had $19 million in cap space. Okay, we know how that season went, so what did you do? You let Dez Bryant go. You let Bryce Butler walk. You traded Ryan Switzer. You then see James Hanna and Jason Witten retire. You see a bunch of your offensive guys walk. So what do? Okay, to respond to this, you make the following trades. You add Jameez Olawale, a freaking fullback for a 5th-round goddamn pick, who, by the way, that was used on Johnny Townsend, but no one gives a shit about him. Just random punter. Then on top of that, you added Allen Hurns, 2 years, Deontay Thompson on a 1-year deal, Cameron Fleming on a 1-year deal, Marcus Martin on a 1-year deal, and Joe Thomas on a 2-year deal. That is it. That's all the offseason free agent moves you made. And we're talking about a team that had $19 million in cap space. And the only 2 real big re-signings you had were Joe Looney as your backup center and J.P. Ladouceur. And in the draft, you added LVE, Connor Williams, Michael Gallup, Dorrance Armstrong, Dalton Schultz. These are names that people are familiar with now, right? And then you look at Cedric Wilson. But look at what you did in the offseason. You had to bank on that draft hitting, and luckily a decent chunk of those guys did for you. But still, you signed 5 outside free agents, and you traded for 2 players in Davon Austin and Jameez Olawale, and then you added Amari Cooper in the middle of the goddamn season for a first-round pick. Why? Because your dumbasses elected not to draft a receiver, and you ended up having a situation where your fucking offense was horrific in 2018, and when you added Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott looked like a brand new quarterback, and he was playing very damn good. As for 2017, it was a prime example of you needed new weaponry, and you never got that. So then you go to 2019. Okay, so this is the last year Dak Prescott has on his rookie deal, right? So you have over $18 million in cap space, okay? So what do? You only sign Randall Cobb, Jason Witten comes out of retirement on a 1-year deal, Kerry Hyder, and Christian Covington. Those are the only 4 dudes you added outside of the organization. You brought back Jameez Olawale, Tavon Austin, Cameron Fleming, DeMarcus Lawrence got his big money. Daniel Ross comes back. Justin March, Lillard, Darian Thompson, and LP Ladouceur. Again, look at the names. You traded for Robert Quinn. That was a good move. Awesome. And who left? Cole Beasley left. Allen Hurns you cut. You cut Terrence Williams. You let Jeff Swaim walk, even though he wasn't really doing much for you. And you cut Taco Charlton, so you whiffed on that pick. And you let a bunch of these other guys go too, right? So now you go into that draft, you get a guy like Tony Pollard, right? You get Mike Weber, you get Connor McGovern and Tristan Hill. But when you look back, okay, it's a whatever draft. So then let's go to 2020. Alrighty, what did you do in 2020? In the offseason, by the way, now we're in the Mike McCarthy era now, you signed Andy Dalton. You signed Blake Bell. You signed Cameron Irving. You went and got Everson Griffin, Alden Smith, Dontari Poe, Gerald McCoy, and a bunch of other dudes. Like, and Greg Zuerlein. Right? Like, these were done, some of these, Everson Griffin was during the season. And you added Gerald McCoy, who didn't play for it. By the way, Gerald McCoy has been the most money given to in terms of what was guaranteed and set up, $18.3 million over 3 years, and he didn't even last one bit. The Cowboys actually had a clause in his contract that allowed him to get cut and them not have to pay a dime. Those were your signings in the offseason. Now, those aren't all bad. You signed Andy Dalton, which is solid. You signed Aldon Smith, who was interesting to say the least. Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoy, you were kind of banking on in that defensive tackle rotation, and you didn't do that. Who did you bring back? You brought back Amari Cooper. You brought back Blake Jarwin. A bunch of one-year deals to everybody that I'm not going to go through. You could see it for yourself. And then the departures. Tavon Austin's gone. Randall Cobb's gone. Devin Smith's gone. Jason Witten's gone. Cameron Fleming's gone. Xavier Su'a-Field's gone. Travis Frederick's gone. You had a lot of people leave. And you want to know what's funny? In 2020, you had $25 million in cap space. Still. And you didn't sign anybody outside of that. Right? I'm talking on both sides of the ball. In the draft, awesome shit. CeeDee Lamb, Trevon Diggs, Neville Gallimore, Tyler Biadasz, to name some names. That was some good stuff. Okay, but free agency, you whiffed. Let's go into 2021. Corey Clement, Jeremy Sprinkle, Ty Neshke, Brent Urban, Carlos Watkins, Malik Hooker, Keanu Neal, Jaron Curse, Brian Anger, Jake McQuaid, a new long snapper. You brought in a bunch of dudes. Okay, cool. And some of those guys hit. You brought back Dak Prescott. You re-signed him. Noah Brown, you brought back. Malik Turner, Cedric Wilson, CJ Goodwin, Jordan Lewis. Bunch of other guys leave, right? In the draft, you got Micah Parsons, Osa Odigizua. Pretty much it. Outside, you could throw in Israel Mukwamu, but outside of that, a bunch of the other guys are whatevers. Again, you didn't do much in free agency. 2022, we know what the fuck happened. You let Amari Cooper go. You let Malik Turner go. You let Cedric Wilson go. You let Blake Jarwin go. You let Lyle go. And I'm not saying yes or no to these. I'm just letting you know what happened. Connor Williams left. A lot of dudes left. What did you do? You went out and got Ryan Nall, a fullback who never made your team. James Washington, who played only a handful of games and maybe caught 2 passes. Jason Peters as a swing tackle. Dante Fowler, solid pickup. Anthony Barr, decent pickup, but that didn't age well. Malik Jefferson. And then you added T.Y. Hilton in the middle of the season. For re-signings, you brought back Noah Brown. You re-signed Michael Gallup. Jeremy Sprinkle, you re-signed. Dorrance Armstrong. Leighton Vander Esch, Malik Hooker, Jaron Curse. Bro, you did not give the quarterback a solid supporting cast all around. These are not moves that championship teams make. You look at what the Eagles do, or the Chiefs do, or the Bills and the Bengals. Dude, these teams will make moves. And the Bengals are arguably a cheaper organization than the Dallas Cowboys. But here we are, and people want to act like Dak Prescott's at fault. By the way, Dak Prescott's cap hit didn't hit over $1 million until after 2019, or in 2019. That hit $2 million. You didn't extend him. $34 million in 2020, even though you had still a shitload of cap space. 2021 and 2022, $17 and $19 million. And now, in 2023, 8th year we're going into, you finally got hit with the massive contract hit. That you have to extend him if you want to, do that. Or if you don't re-sign him, odds are he's gone. And you screw your team in 2023. This is the problem I have, Cowboys fans, as I go through all of this individually, step by step. The Dallas Cowboys do not give a shit about this whole thing. They don't. They look for scapegoats when they make mistakes. You load your team up begrudgingly. Your quarterback looks good. Then, rather than improve upon that, you don't. You put your hands under your ass and act like everything's A-okay. Then you have the nerve to trade away Amari Cooper. Then you let CD do his thing while he's developing into that. Michael Gallup, you didn't let him recover properly. And you had a whole bunch of randos on the back end of your team, in the offensive side of the ball, for your quarterback to throw to. And people wonder why he threw 15 interceptions. Not all of that was on his receivers, by the way, but you got to keep in mind there are other variables to this. Now, people aren't going to give a fuck what I have to say, which I don't care. My job is, here's the information. You do with what you may. I kind of find it irritating how we have a front fucking office that wants to blame the quarterback and his contract. Oh, why not the fucking running back that you gave a $16 million cap hit to, or because you touched his contract and you gave him his money? You know, I know hindsight's 20/20, but still, okay, you gave money to a wide receiver who's recovering, and we don't know if he's ever going to be the same. You're about to franchise tag another running back. You did nothing on the defensive side of the ball other than add a couple guys. You could have loaded this team up, and you still have the opportunity to do it. If you open up the cap space, which the Cowboys have the ability to open up $55 million if they so choose, which they won't, they're going to just be like, oh, well, we tried. You know, at the end of the day, there's only so much pie to go. That's the problem. Salary cap is a thing, but you can manipulate it so easily to where you can literally build every single year. The only time that salary cap hell exists is when you have shitty players. The Dallas Cowboys win 12-5 back-to-back years with minimal additions in free agency. And you mean to tell me that we can't do the same because your quarterback's... Get the fuck out of here, Jerry, with that bullshit. Because you know why? I'm sick and tired of Cowboys fans falling for the rope-a-dope every single fucking year. Every single year. It's this player makes this much money. And it's like, okay, we love the player until he needs to get paid. Fuck all those people that say that shit. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm Dak Prescott, I'm going to make a separate video, like a short video talking about this. If I was Dak Prescott, I would request a trade. There have been greats that have done such things. You know, I know DMV is very big on this. He talks about, you know, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant threatened to get himself traded to Chicago because the Lakers did not build an adequate team around him. What did they do? They went and got Pau Gasol. They went and got key players they added to their roster. I think that, you know, I don't think Lamar Odom, I know he played for the Lakers towards the tail end, but they added him to the team. I think he played for the Clippers or something. I don't give a shit. We're not here to talk about basketball. My point is they added players to a guy that threatened to leave so that they can take action. Dak Prescott's a company dude, and this is the one thing I take a knock with Dak. He's an amazing human being. I would love for him to see him win a Super Bowl, whether it be with the Cowboys or somewhere else. But God damn it, this front office is not doing him any favors. And I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, you can get a whole new quarterback. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, whoever the flying hell you want. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to change. And I guarantee you that they're going to do the same thing with Micah Parsons. They're going to do the same thing like they're going to be doing with CeeDee Lamb and Trevon Diggs. They're going to try and pull them through the fucking mud to make it seem like they're bad. You're starting to see the articles come out. They're going to be like, you know, are they worth it? And all this other bullshit. And I already see fans be like, oh, let's trade Trevon. Bro, I don't understand this fan base. You get superstar players, you re-sign superstar players. You make the money work. All good teams do that. If you have a problem with giving that person money, then let them go. Trade them, let them go for a comp pick, and reload the roster through free agency. If you're not going to do that, then you ain't winning shit. There's a reason why the Cowboys hit the divisional round every single year. They find a better opponent that's better constructed, better coached, better built, whatever the case you want to call it, and they lose. This was a prime example. You lost because you did not have any adequate weapons, and you can talk about the coaching and all this other bullshit. Listen, I don't give a flying fuck who's there and what's going on. All I'm saying is stop throwing your quarterback under the goddamn bus because of how much money he's making, because you ultimately gave him the money. It's Dak Prescott's fault that he took the fucking money because you waited? Tell me how that makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. But that is where I will end this massive whole thing on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.